There's never a good way for humanity to be wiped out unless it's some kind of kitten supernova or something. But the world of games really pushes the limit when it comes to how humanity meets its demise, with some of the dumbest and least dignified Armageddons ever imagined. Can this really be how it ends? Is the apocalypse really this stupid? Was that giant termite always beneath the Earth's crust? Here are the weirdest ways that humanity got destroyed. A special thanks and a hat tip to commenter Dogs Rule NW08 for suggesting it, and the first entry. Beware spoilers along the way for the following.
It's the end! The end!
And yet you do not pray.
To whom? What god can help us now?
No gods have ever heard your prayers.
Little tip for anyone out there who's not good at maths. When things get complicated, just make this face until someone else gets the answer.
Luke, what's 85 divided by 6? Never mind, I got it. It's 21.5.
21.5, yeah, I got the same. You'll need that face for the ludicrously complex world-ending event in medieval fantasy Drakengard, a PS2 game with 5 possible endings, the weirdest of which becomes a canonical event in the timelines of 2 other games, 2010's Nier and the more recent Nier Automata. Still with us? Great. Drakengard's weirdest ending, dubbed Ending E, sees the game's antagonist, the Giant, also known as the Queen Beast, teleported from the world of Drakengard to Tokyo in 2003. Sounds like a bad time for humanity, but never fear, because also transported to Japan are you, the hero, and your pet dragon Angelus, on hand to defeat the Queen Beast in the only way that true evil can ever really be brought to heel, through rhythm action gameplay. With evil vanquished, you and your dragon partner enjoy a hero's conclusion to your epic tale, at which point you are blown up by fighter jets.
It is done.
Sure. But it turns out that's pretty much the ending you deserve, because if you dig into the lore of Nier and Nier Automata, it turns out the destruction of this intradimensional mannequin kicks off the end of humanity, when its corpse dissolves into deadly particles that trigger white chlorination syndrome. Which sounds like something you contract after drinking too much swimming pool water, but actually forces you into the servitude of a god from another dimension, unless you'd rather be turned into salt. Really. Flash forward to the worlds of Nier and Nier Automata, and the virus brought into our dimension has totally ravaged humanity, to the point where only robots and super sophisticated androids remain, presumably because they're the only ones smart enough to wrap their heads around this most ludicrous of apocalypses. No, I get it, there's salt, dragons, 2003...
We know about the face, Luke.
Damn it.
He knows what drives me. What I believe. That being a good soldier comes down to one thing, to one single question. What are you prepared to sacrifice?
The most embarrassing way for humanity to be destroyed on your watch must be the way where you were even given a premonition of that happening so that you could prevent it.
When the greatest combat machine fails, what do we do then? What do I do?
That's the scenario for nano-suited Crisis 3 protagonist Prophet, who was given not only a premonition of the total destruction of Earth by the powerful alien Ceph,
I saw a glimpse of what's coming. And there was nothing left of me to stop it.
but also plenty of time and technology to prevent it. What with his premonition being literally during the opening credits, and him being wrapped in more high-end military hardware than Iron Man piloting a Jaeger. But that still doesn't save humanity from destruction if, when you wind up in space later in the game, you float on over to the satellite-based energy weapon, hack it like you're supposed to, and then instead of using it to blow up the alien warship that's warping through a wormhole to end all human life, You just sort of hang out and waste time, idly pointing the weapon in the general direction of the warship, but failing to actually lock onto it and fire, as if your mind has wandered off during this climactic action sequence. Dilly-dally for long enough and Crisis 3 has no choice but to call your bluff and let the alien warship blast the Earth's surface with its death ray, bringing about the extinction of humanity. Like I say, pretty embarrassing for you, floating up here in space. Or I mean, it would be if there were any humans left to judge you. And there aren't. In space, no one can hear you cringe.
Amid the turmoil, the first humans emerged. The Council foretold that these weak but cunning creatures would someday be integral to the balance. Thus, a third kingdom was named, the Kingdom of Man.
If the forces of heaven and hell insist on destroying the planet in a fiery war, you'd at least want them to get the date right. But there's no such luck for the citizens of Earth in Darksiders, at the beginning of which a holy war erupts, during what is an otherwise pretty chill day for human civilization, until meteors start falling from the sky and making all the taxis go all in the air. Before you can say Beelzebub, demons are running wild in the street, brawling with the forces of heaven, who show a most unsaintly disregard for the poor humans caught in the crossfire. They won't teach you that in Sunday school. Humanity being slaughtered in a war between heaven and hell is one thing, but the real kicker comes in a little later in the game when it's revealed to protagonist War, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, that the end of days was set off too early. With none of the other horsemen anywhere to be seen, War gets the blame for triggering Armageddon prematurely, but it's quite clear to anyone with half a brain that humanity is the real victim here, having been wiped out in a fiery conflict way ahead of schedule. How unfair is that? I mean, Darksiders came out in 2010. The forces of hell could have at least waited until we made the Emoji Movie. At least then we'd understand.
There are 3 simple rules to successful time travel. Don't kill your granddad, hoverboards don't work on water, and don't let a giant space termite burrow into the Earth. If only the occupants of the fantasy version of Earth in Chrono Trigger had paid closer attention to these rules, things might have turned out a lot less on fire. To be fair to Chrono and his squad of time-hopping adventurers though, they have no way of knowing, at the start of the game, that the whole planet is living on borrowed time, thanks to a giant spiky termite called Lavos, which collided with the Earth in the year 65 million BC. Which A, triggers an ice age, and B, means all those T-Rexes were no help at all. And we gave you pride of place in our museums. That's only the start of Lavos' weird world-ending mischief, however. This giant fiery bug burrows deep into the planet and waits patiently to erupt on an unsuspecting human race, which it does in the year 1999, as our heroes discover when they travel to the future and watch a video record of that exact event. Geez, talk about a millennium bug, am I right? Although don't try making that joke around the survivors who scrape a living in Lavos' mutant-infested wreckage, who are mostly just concerned with acquiring food, the humorless chumps. Everyone's obsessed with food, I told you guys. No thanks, I just had a big lunch.
We all do stuff that's bad for us, like how sometimes you can't help prodding a bruise or summoning a demon to end all life, that sort of thing. Little does anyone suspect that such a demonic summoning could occur at the start of PlayStation 2 RPG Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, let alone that it could destroy all life as we know it. Nevertheless, the supernatural clues are all there for those paying attention. For instance, a recent fight in a park between 2 cults has left several people dead. one of those cults believes in and is trying to bring about a prophecy of doom, and this spooky hospital vending machine gives you a drink that wasn't even on the menu. Chilling. And chilled. Oh, also in that hospital you meet Lucifer himself in child form. Still though, spooky vending machine, what arcane magic is within you? Aspartame. Heading up to the roof of that hospital, you're invited by cultist Yuko to witness the summoning of the end of the world, which will lay waste to everyone outside the hospital you're in an unholy rebirth that they're calling the Conception. Ew. As for the Conception itself, the game's hero can only watch on as the surrounding landscape is consumed by a wave of devastation, before folding in on itself like that bit from Inception, but if Leo DiCaprio was off to one side going crazy on a church organ. The only upside to all this is that you're on the side of the Hellions. In the immediate wake of the Conception, Lucifer turns you into a demon, kicking off a lengthy game's worth of supernatural adventures, which we will absolutely get to the second we finish performing an exorcism on this drink. Oh, I drank it. Guys?
So busy were we with earthly concerns, we failed to notice the heavens. And by the time we did, the world burned until naught remained but ash.
What's the point of being an advanced civilization if you can still be wiped out by something as silly as sunshine? And you'd be hard-pushed to find a civilization more advanced than the Precursors, also known as the First Civilization, or, and we think this one is a little much, Homo sapiens divinus. In the world of Assassin's Creed, this proud race walked the earth long before humans, and in fact created our humble little species to use as slave labour, the Charmers. The Precursors were blessed with extremely long life, incredible intelligence, a triple helix DNA structure, and 6 senses instead of our paltry 5. That 6th sense, if you're counting, was knowledge, which seems a bit strong considering what happens next. Embroiled in a war with rebellious humans, the Precursors didn't notice the sun building up to a coronal mass ejection, which is a sciencey term for when the sun spits some of itself out and everything nearby goes on fire, which is exactly what struck the Precursor civilization. Oh, what? Do you not have any genes that code for sunscreen somewhere in that 3rd helix? Smug Precursors. With Earth ravaged by fire, fewer than 10,000 humans survived and far fewer Precursors, meaning the entire civilization was lost and the remnants of Homo sapiens left to their own devices, no longer under the yoke of the Precursors and their tremendous lack of foresight. I mean, what kind of advanced species could foresee an oncoming environmental disaster and not take action? Oh, nuts.
Did you really think you could stop me? Shit! Oh, human arrogance. Is there anything more charming? Fucking ass!
As Saints Row 4 kicks off, things seem to be going pretty well for the 3rd Street Saints. They're a huge global brand, they recently foiled a terrorist attack, and their boss has been elected President of the United States, where they're busy solving world hunger and punching political opponents in the junk.
Allow me to retort!
Yep, things are going pretty darn great, right up until aliens suddenly invade and start blowing everything up, which always tends to put a crimp in your day.
I'll swing by after I...
The good news is that the aliens just want to enslave humanity rather than destroy the planet. Good is a relative term here. The bad news is that now everyone's living in this Stepford Wives-style 50s simulation where you can't swear or drive dangerously, and for some reason you have to walk like this.
Gosh, what a glorious day!
The boss being the boss, of course, they try to escape, but are foiled by the alien ruler Zinyak, who warns them that if they try that again, he'll destroy the Earth.
I'm going to place you in your new home. Try to run again, and I'll destroy your pitiful planet. Did you ever?
Yeah, but that's what video game antagonists always say, and they never really mean it, so I'm sure a little more light escaping will be fine.
It's all gone.
Well, I'd say this was a productive day.
Holy... wow. Wow. I mean, to be fair, he did tell you that would happen. Yes, it turns out that actually Zinyak wasn't messing around, and now 7 billion people are dead as a result of history's biggest I told you so. You should have just punched him in the junk. That always works.
Well, that was a mistake. Should not have drunk that haunted beverage. But it doesn't matter because, you know, the world might end in one of the many ways that we have just described. But if there are any others that you can think of as well, you should let us know in the comments down below. Warn us before it happens so we can like set up bunkers and everything, and everyone can come, we can all chill, be great. And what we can do while we're, you know, hiding from the apocalypse is we can watch these videos here, and in the meantime as well, before the bunker's ready, you should subscribe because then we will notify you when it is ready, and also about like other videos and stuff that we make. But otherwise, we will see you next time. Bye!